A Day on the SS Cleveland, Steerage. This is a story that takes place on a steamship. That's what the SS stands for. It is an immigration story and takes place in 1909, and that makes this story historical fiction. In the title, it mentions the word steerage. Steerage means the part of the ship that provided a place for passengers with the cheapest tickets. So sometimes the steerage area of the ship was not taken care of as well and was at the bottom or underneath. This is the story of A Day on the SS Cleveland. It takes place on April 2nd, 1909, and it's aboard the SS Cleveland. Karina gulped the fresh air into her lungs as fast as possible. It was her first time above deck since a raging storm had forced them below 3 days ago. There was no guarantee of safety for the steerage passengers on the unprotected deck, so they had not been allowed outside. That meant hours without sleep, stuck in her room, bouncing roughly up and down with the waves. The sounds of groaning and vomiting surrounded her as many gave in to seasickness before the storm ended. Although Karina didn't get seasick, she felt sick just from the smell of illness and hundreds of people all squeezed into the same room. She heard the trip to America was difficult, but this was worse than anything she could have imagined. She wondered if anyone above even knew what the steerage passengers were experiencing. The only people who dared come down there were the workers, and they left as soon as possible. "Karina, wait!" came a tiny voice behind her. Leola, her 5-year-old sister, held onto her hand. Karina laughed to herself. She wasn't even moving. None of them were. They were all trapped. Hundreds of people desperately wanted to get out of there, but she supposed that Leola felt left behind. She turned around to scoop her up, but that caused her to bump into 3 people. Nearby passengers yelled at her in languages she didn't understand, except for one man. He wore a red bow tie and a round straw, flat-topped hat. He tipped his hat to her and stepped back to allow her the space she needed to pick up Leola. Karina gave him a shy half-smile. Kindness was so rare that it felt like a bright ray of sunshine on a stormy day. She pulled her yellow knit scarf closer around her shoulders. She didn't usually risk walking around the ship without her father, but he was too sick to move. Her eyebrow wrinkled. What would happen to him? The ship's hospital refused to help any passenger with seasickness. They claimed it wasn't a real disease. But her father couldn't even keep water down. He was seriously sick, and she desperately hoped there would be a change for his recovery now that the weather had improved. Karina and Leola stayed in the fresh air until the dinner bell rang. Karina choked at the smell as she went back into the sleeping area. "Must we come down?" Leola asked. Her look of horror was the same as Karina's. "Don't you want to eat?" Leola's eyes grew big. Then she sighed and nodded. Eating every day was still new for them. In Italy, they lived in the country. What little money they had was often taken for taxes. They never knew how many days they would have to spend without food. Papa had told them that in America, things would be different. Food and work would be common. They would have the chance for a new life, a better life. As soon as they reached the beds, they grabbed their plates and utensils. Karina hated this part. She always felt like she would be trampled in line. Still, she had to try and fight for a good spot in line for Papa's health. She wished for the millionth time that her mother was still alive. She would have known what to do. She picked up Leola and fought her way through the food line. Sometimes it helped being smaller. She could duck through the crowd easier than most. When moving ahead was no longer possible, she checked her place in line. Not a bad spot. She reached the front of the line and held out her plate. Dried meat, potatoes, stale bread, and she sighed. She wasn't quick enough to get decent fruit or vegetables. What was left was so bruised and moldy that it would make anyone sick. It wasn't unusual to see people in steerage throw damaged food overboard for the fish. Still, she was grateful for something to eat. She tried to ask for her father's share, but because they didn't speak the same language, the worker moved her along. She carefully went back to their sleeping area. It wasn't the best, eating in the dirt and smell, but she wanted to be with Papa. Besides, it's not like there was anything else to eat. She tried to give her father most of the food, hoping he'd keep just a little of it down. That evening, as she was softly singing Leola to sleep, she saw the worker come in with a basket of food. She sat up quickly and watched. Could it be? Was he handing out extra food? She squinted to see clearly. He was demanding money, a lot of money. Karina breathed deeply. Well, that left most of them out. If they had money, they wouldn't be here in the first place. It had taken them almost a year to save enough money to buy 3 steerage tickets. Karina sighed. She hoped Papa was right. She hoped they would find a better life in America. Now remember, we've talked about immigration and how many foreigners were moving to the New World or America looking for a better life. And what we're going to do next is I want you to be thinking about that story and the point of view in which it was told. So we've talked about point of view, and here's a reminder for you. Point of view tells us who is telling the story, either first person, second person, or third person. So a reminder, first person is when we use the words I, me, and my, and that's when the character in the story is actually the one telling the story. So the story that was just shared with you was not told in first person because it was not using the words I, me, and my. The second person point of view is when they use the words you, and the narrator or the person telling the story is telling the story to you, the reader. So again, this story that was just read to you is not told in second person because the narrator is not telling the story to you. That leaves us with third person. And in third person, if you remember, they use the words he and she and they and them. And the narrator or the person telling the story is telling the story. So that's what just happened there, talking about Karina and her sister and Papa and how they were hopeful for food in the steerage section of the ship. So what you're going to do today is you're going to remember that story. So it says this story is written from a third person point of view because the author is writing as a narrator. But we only know what one character is thinking and feeling. That gives the reader a limited knowledge about the characters in the story. We sometimes call this a limited third person point of view. The author chose to zoom in on one day of the voyage and explain it in detail. Your job will be to add to this story. Maybe you'd like to give more details about the story, or write about the characters' meals, or the arrival at Ellis Island. Choose one section of the story to add to. So you're going to continue the story from a third person point of view. I'm just going to back up through the pages here real quickly and look at the story itself. When you look at that page, or the first page there, you can pick any portion of that story that you'd like to write about. In the first paragraph, it talks about the moaning and the groaning and the sickness in the bottom of the ship. And a little bit further down, it talks about Karina and her little sister trying to get out into the air and bumping into people. So you notice it's really crowded and what some of the people look like. And then on the next page, it talks about actually standing in line and getting the food and what that might have looked like. So you're going to pick a portion of this story somewhere and you'll find these worksheets in Canvas. Pick a portion of the story somewhere that you'd like to zoom in on. Use a magnifying glass or focus your binoculars and zoom in a little more closely to add detail to the story. Okay, I'd like you to write at least one complete paragraph using complete sentences. Remember, each complete sentence starts with a capital letter and ends with punctuation. It has a subject, the who or what is doing something of the sentence, and it has a predicate, the action of what's going on in the sentence. With your words, I'd like you to be able to appeal to my senses. Make me draw a picture in my brain of what your story looks like. What that little extra bit of detail on this trip in the steerage department of the SS Cleveland really looks like. Use your best writing skills.